15, the one and only Gillian the Savage Robertson.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
We're good.
Dude, you have that fight news glow, G.
It's just a different feeling, isn't it? You know?
I don't know. I've never had it.
You don't know. You hold the record with me, Dave. We hold the record for the most submissions out of any woman in the UFC. Me and Dave.
That is true. Thank you, G. Thank you. We've been, pals for a long time. I appreciate you keeping our record alive and going, dude. I think it's only going to, right? Like, come on now.
No, crazy. I think especially with this fight, I think it's a good fight to increase the record.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, cut that up. All right, if you haven't known, Marina Rodriguez, Gillian the Savage Robertson, May 3rd, and the T on the street is Iowa. So
Des Moines.
Yeah, Des Moines,
Aren't you excited to go see some corn?
Dude, G loves fighting in the Midwest. Loves it.
Whenever we did our podcast on Sunday, Dave commented Iowa, and me and Elle were like, "Oh, I think he's trolling us."
You usually are, in my defense.
I didn't drink yet, Elle. Usually when I drink, that's when my funny comments come up. It was 9 a.m. on a Sunday. I'm sorry.
Well, you never know.
That's true. Good point.
But
5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So me and Al were like, "Oh, he's trolling us. There's nothing in Iowa but corn." And then it looks like more news is coming out that it may be Des Moines. So, yeah, it seems like that might be the area. I don't care where I fight. I just don't want to be in the apex personally. I'm like, I just like having a crowd. I don't care where it is. I am a little upset that like there's rumored a Canada card the week after. Where I'm like, they did the same thing to me my last fight. Canada card was the week before I fought. So it would have been awesome to be put on the Canada card, but I honestly don't, like I said, I don't care where it is. I just like to fight, and I like that there's a crowd there. So I'm just happy with that.
I got to say, Gillian, as somebody from the Midwest, we're very bored people, and we love fights. So I feel like a Midwest crowd will be killer.
That was my exact thought. I was like, the stadium's going to be packed from the first fight. Exactly. I'm like, everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a great atmosphere. So I'm like, I'm still looking forward to it. And I'm just hoping for maybe like main event spot, like something up there.
Okay. That was my first main question for you, G. There's a lot of stuff to get into about Fusion and their week at Saudi Arabia, UFC 312, Tatiana Soros and Wei Lee's about to fight in 5 days. So a lot of stuff. But I even saw, you know me, I'm very pro Gillian Robertson. So it's all the time. I'm on Twitter just putting in your name. I even saw that people thought your fight has a really good chance of being the main event of a fight night. And it would be a great job of pushing both of you. But tell me if I'm not wrong on this. Would they don't need to tell you that you guys are thinking about 5 rounds? Is that a totally different thing? Does the pay change at all? Or if you're just on the poster, you're on the poster?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
I've never been in that spot yet, so I'm not 100% sure. I've
there is a pay bump. I do know that there is a guaranteed small pay bump for a main event spot.
Yeah, okay. So I'm like, I haven't heard anything. I would love to hear something. I'd love to be able to get a main event spot. I would love to be able to start prepping for those 5 rounds, But I really have no idea how it works.
Okay. I gotta attack this question. Dude, Pantoja was just on the show, G, a little bit ago. One of the greatest interviews we have ever had. This man challenged Merab Dvalishvili on Fight Bananas, one of the biggest fights in the history of the UFC. He was saying how much he loved his family. I'm sorry, I got taken away. He's my new favorite fighter, okay? So it's Pantoja 1, Gillian 2, Grant 3. That's my new order.
Hey, Grant's number 3 now.
It's rough. It's rough out here.
Let him know. It's rough out here.
He might not answer my call now. I don't know. No.
I don't
All right, here's my new list. Gillian and Grant 1, Pantoja 2. How about that? Right?
Yeah, I think I can live with that.
All right, there we go. All right, let's talk about me and Elle were going back and forth about this a co-main event. To me, this is our main event. We love Wei Lee and Tatiana. Wei Lee, 25-3, historic run, already a UFC Hall of Famer against the undefeated, kind of the little bit of the mysterious Tatiana Soros, a phenomenal wrestler, grappler. We all know that. We know that you've trained with her in the past and kind of rolled with her. I'm so pumped for this fight. Me personally, I'm leaning Tatiana. I think she wins the championship Saturday night. I would love your take.
She's the favorite now.
Yes,
No,
she is.
I agree with you, Dave. I'm definitely team Tatiana on this. I think that Wei Li is very explosive, a great athlete, a great all-around competitor, but I think Tatiana just is sharper when it comes to wrestling and I guess capitalizing on the ground. She just does have better jiu-jitsu all around. I think Wei Li's best game plan for this fight would be to strike on the outside more, which I guess we don't really see her do as much. She's usually like in your face striking, where I believe Tatiana fought Nina Ansaroff, and she was kind of able to keep her out a little bit more with her strikes. And it's like once Tatiana gets a hold of you, it's over. But if you can keep her away, then that's when you, I guess, can capitalize a little bit more because she is so wrestling heavy more still.
And I think it should be said too that that was like one of Tatiana's worst nights out, right? She was injured. She had her neck injury, and she definitely didn't look her best. And she still managed to get it done, you know?
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think that's been Tatiana's like biggest enemy her whole fight career is she just can't stay healthy. She can't not be injured.
Can you
I know that game.
Is there? I guess both of you could talk about that. Like, is it just one being unlucky and it just happens in life? Sometimes it's a bad season, year, 2 years, and then you'll be fine for the next 7. Is it a training aspect? Have you been in gyms, guys, be like, dude, that girl or boy is going too hard? Like, can you see someone not maybe training smart, or is it just like is it just bad luck? Is it just awful bad luck and body type?
I honestly have really no idea. I've never, like, knock on wood, I've never had any like really bad training incidents, I guess. I've never had to have surgery for anything, even in a fight. I've never had situations like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I train pretty hard a lot of like when I'm sparring, like I'm sparring hard with the boys. I'm not like we're not playing nice, you know? So I feel like I do train pretty hard and I've just never had that. So I think it might be some part of luck, maybe something she is doing, or maybe because she has wrestled for so long, where I'm like, I started combat sports at 16, where I'm like, I believe she started wrestling at a much younger age, where it's like just that wear and tear on your body for so many years may add up. I honestly don't know.
Tell me what not being injured is like, Jillian. No, I think it's a combination of things. You know, I know that one of my biggest issues and one of the reasons I'm hurt a lot is because I'm small. I'm small and I do not come from a family of durable athletes. I come from a family of fragile intellectuals. So I definitely think there's some luck and genetic factors as well, you know, that play. But I definitely think like I think your training schedule, how well you take care of yourself is a really big factor too.
I'm like, that being said, I'm like, I've never really like trained smart, never really taken care of myself. I'm like, I have needed surgery on my hip for probably about 3 years now, but we're doing good.
We're just going to ignore that and let it.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Because we talked about that when that happens or when you do need to in your career, out your career, it's a multiple month process, G. You'll be kind of sidelined for a good portion of time. But
they're telling me that what needs to happen is I need to shave down a piece of bone on my hip because like where the ball and socket joint is, there's an extra little piece of bone. So every time I like kick or anything, it just grinds that bone. So I need to like correct that because it constantly pinches, like aches. Usually on days when I'm throwing a lot of head kicks or shooting a lot of double legs, then it really like irritates it. But if I do decide to get the surgery, they estimate 6 months to a year layoff, which right now I can't afford that. So I'll deal with a little bit of pinching. Sometimes it is like some days it's more painful than others, but it's been like this for probably about 3 years now, where it's just an achy thing. And it honestly blows my mind because some days I can hardly walk on it. I'll be limping to the gym. I'll go and I'll spar 3 5-minute rounds, look absolutely amazing, and then limp out the cage. Like my body's fine when I'm performing. It's just walking and things like that is usually hard.
Well, and it sounds like it's not something that like you're gonna like if you train on a torn ACL, you risk tearing everything else in your knee. It sounds like you're not really in that situation. Like it's something you can kind of push.
Yeah, well, we've been taking, I guess, steps so then we can push it. I've been getting hyaluronic acid and PRP shots in it, so it just adds more cushion to it. So I'm not getting more arthritis. Because if I didn't have that, it would just be creating like bone on bone, creating more arthritis consistently.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Crazy. Two topics I would love your take on, G. Two totally different topics. We're going to show a fancy artwork picture of Fight Bananas. We're just this little engine that could. UFC 264. It was Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 3. Look at that main event. Amazing. But look at those prelim, people. Two fighters on the prelim. Big red bold things around them. Ilia Topuria and Dricus du Plessis. My point behind it is watch the damn prelims, people. You never know who's on it and who's coming next to it. How crazy is that, G? That one of the biggest pay-per-views ever. Dustin Conor 3, that's all they needed. They had Ilia and Dricus on the prelims.
The UFC knows what they're doing. They stack those cards, you know? Any card with a Conor on it, they're stacked top to bottom. They know what they're doing, and they knew those guys were going to be something great, even though they didn't have the name behind them yet.
I like that. Elle, same. Isn't that just wild that you can argue two of the top 7 best fighters in the world right now were on the prelims for a Conor McGregor card? Pretty wild.
Yeah. No, I think that happens a lot more than people think.
Yeah.
You know, if we went back and looked at every champion where they started in the UFC, they were probably on a prelim, headlining. That was headlined by Anderson Silva of that time,
I guess I'm not sleeping tonight. I'll be doing that all night long. So more content for Fight Bananas. Thank you, Elle. Another thing I want to bring up, and me and Elle talked off air, and G, I would love your take on this, is that Alex Pereira is fighting next month, UFC 313, Las Vegas, Nevada versus Megamon Ankalaev. A lot of people think this is his toughest matchup in the light heavyweight division. He's literally a betting underdog, which still blows my mind. But what he's doing this week is flying to Australia to corner Sean Strickland. G, I would love your take. Kind of 4 or 5 weeks from his fight, he's flying across the country. I would assume probably not to train a ton to corner Sean Strickland. Is that some people can do it? Not? Is everyone different? What's your take on Alex flying to UFC 312?
Well, I will say Alex is different, just period. Okay. I think he is a different type of animal, a different person. I personally, I'm not doing anything for anybody else within a month or two of my fight, period. I'm very selfish in that time because I feel like I have to be. I'm going into the cage by myself. Like when that cage door closes, nobody else is in there with me. So I feel like I have to at least be for a month or two. Dave helps hold up the record too.
Dave's there somehow.
Yeah, Dave's there. Dave's there in spirit. But
that's true.
But it's like I can't imagine, especially for someone who's, I guess, a former opponent, training partner, just being like, yeah, I'll fly across the world for you while I'm in the middle of camp. But I really do think Alex is just different, and I'm here for an Alex Bahia fight every month this year. I'm hoping for it. Let's just keep them coming,
That's true. What is he really doing in this corner? Honestly,
he doesn't speak much English, right?
Yeah, that is so wild to me, and I couldn't agree more. Too, if it was Glover Teixeira fighting for the championship, you'd be like, okay, cool. They're brothers almost. You do anything for him. But it's, Sean Strickland, a former opponent / kind of training partner, it's a little odd, but it's working. This man was the fighter of 2024. It's working to me. So.
I just love that there's all the beef from the middleweight division has been squashed. Nobody really has beef anymore. Everybody used to have beef, and now Izzy and Robert have a podcast, and Alex and Sean are training together, and everybody's cool with DDP pretty much now when they all used to hate each other.
That is true.
I like it. I like this era of middleweight peace. Somebody needs to shake it up.
Where's the question? Ton of there you go. Gillian, are you worried that the longer you wait, the longer recovery and possible lifelong damage?
Well, I guess that's what the shots that I'm getting are kind of helping with that, helping so we don't get more lifelong damage, so we don't have a longer recovery. So it's just it's adding a little extra cushion in my muscles, so we're not doing more damage.
Victor, Gillian Robertson announced yesterday on the Great Sunday Morning Brew Show with Gillian and Elle. Gillian's fighting Marina Rodriguez. I think, didn't she fight she was like in 2 number 1 contendership fights, I believe. She was right there twice.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but she has just really been like one of the pioneers of the strawweight division. She's just always been in the mix of the top 5, top 10, and she's deserved that spot. She's an absolute killer on the feet. That's honestly what intrigues me about this fight. I like the danger of it. I'm like, I like that she does drop girls with her right hand. She does do a lot of damage with her elbows. I'm like, I just love, I don't know. There's something about the thrill of it that I really do like this fight.
It's exciting. I thought she fought Mackenzie Dern really well, which I know you guys aren't the exact same fighter, but obviously you have similar strengths. Is there anything you took from watching that fight that you feel like you can capitalize on more than Mackenzie did?
I actually don't really remember. I haven't gotten into that one yet. The one that I watched recently that I guess someone I was looking that is similar to me that was able to handle her fairly well, I feel like was Verina Jandiroba.
Yeah.
She was able to get her takedowns, chain some nice takedowns. I feel like I'll be able to do more damage on the ground than she was able to. And because that's the only, I guess, like flaw I would say of her game is it just looks like too much jujitsu. And Marina was still fighting back in the third and was still there fully in the third because Verina never beat her up in the first 2. So I'm like, that's the first fight that I've watched so far to kind of study a style that was similar to mine.
Yeah.
This past Saturday, G, I don't know if you know this. So Saturday night, myself, I drove to Miami, Florida, close to your stomping grounds. There was Aiden Ross put on a boxing event on Kick. I guess it got 6 million views that night, which is just absurd. Like, dude, if the UFC does 6 million views, that is a home run. Aiden Ross's show 6 million. They did have the best ring announcer that you guys probably have ever seen or whatever, but hey, that's here or there.
That's why they got so many views, for sure.
That's true. My main point, the thing that I'm bringing up is during the show, there is a lot of extra activities going on, a lot of, congestion in the air going on. So, a lot of my mind already goes to someone. I'm not kidding. In the corner of my eye, I see a young lady walk in with red hair. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. She probably lives 30 minutes, 20 minutes from here. It's a very ritzy young party. I'm like, dude, G's here. That's wild. I look, and it's the rapper. I don't know if you know this person, G. Sexy Red. Do you know who Sexy Red is?
We literally talked about this on Sunday.
Elle was telling me this.
Never mind.
I didn't tell her this story because I didn't know. I knew Sexy Red was there, and we talked about it on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's so
I was
funny.
like, my first thing, because it's really dark, and you just see a red hair. I'm like, dude, Miami G Red. I'm like, dude, I just right away. I'm like, and then it's
gotta be right.
The famous rapper Sexy Red.
Yeah, and pretty much the same thing, right?
Which I can't even on this show. I won't even say what she made me call her a different nickname, and it is not PG-13. Let's just say that, okay? They threw $5,000 of cash in the ring, like
in the middle of the show, not even
in the middle of the show. Crazy time. All right, that's it. I'm done. That's it. Who wins the main event, Dricus or Sean?
I want to say Dricus again, honestly. I think his style is just weird. It's so hard to deal with, and Sean is just kind of, what you're getting with him.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think it's hard for Sean to win a split decision because he doesn't have, unless he's dominating, he usually doesn't have a lot of big moments. Mm-hmm. He has moments, but they're not as big, And
I'll be throwing another thing out there. Sometimes it's just how you look physically. Like, I look at that fight after the fight. Sean looked like a bloody mess, and I know he said a lot of it had to do with that headbutt, but there's some, dude, there are some horrific judges on the amateur side, regional side, in the highest levels of the UFC. And if they just see that he is busted open and bleeded, that could sway around for sure. For sure.
Even this last weekend in Saudi Arabia, the first fight of the night.
Yes.
I scored it completely for the other guy.
That guy got cut too, by the way. Jamil Pugs got cut, thrown out of the UFC.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I'm like, I expected him to get his hand raised. And when he didn't, I was like, I had him for all 3 rounds. What happened there?
My last thing I'll say to you. So it looks like we all 3 of us have Dricus and Tatiana. So probably, guys,
Tatiana's like a 51% for me. I'm still not like totally convinced, but I'm leaning with you guys.
I had the worst bets on Saturday, so that means go bet on Whaley and Strickland. I've been so bad in the UFC, so bad. Did you, G? I know you went to Fusion actually, a week ago, training with Hannah and stuff. And I think the boys were already gone, Davis, Alexander, and McKinney. But did you see or have you heard anything in that circle about? They said it was horrible situation over there, especially in their locker room with a paint job, and they were breathing in bad stuff. Have you heard anything on that?
No, I haven't, I guess, heard anything on that. I guess it showed in some of the performances. Terrence McKinney looked great. I'm like like we were talking about it, they just didn't look like they were them. They just looked like they weren't themselves. Like Mike Davis pulling guard in 30 seconds. Like it just didn't look like him. So hearing things like that there is, I don't know, that there was a bunch of chaos around the fight doesn't surprise me because mentally it didn't look like the same fighter. Terrence McKinney fought for 1 minute and looked great, but
that's a Terrence McKinney fight.
Yeah, that's normal Terrence McKinney.
Yeah.
It's
he either fights for a minute and looks amazing, or fights for 3 minutes and doesn't look so hot. Like that's always the Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, exactly.
It's wild to me that sometimes that's all you need, even if the air isn't as bad as maybe what it is, right? It's just that in their head of like, guys, this is a bad room. This is the paint's not right, or I'm smelling something off. As something small as that can just mind crush, a fighter who's about to fight in an hour. So crazy scene. I, of course, hope the best for all of them.
And I guess I'm like, I really think that's what makes, I guess, some of the greats is that they can just be like, there's nothing going on. I have one mission, one focus, and that's what I have to focus on. And it's like, you just have to make it happen in that moment because all that matters is that one night that everybody watches. They don't care about the 3 months of training camp you just went through. They just care about that one night. So you got to show up.
What's the worst? Like, I've fought in some pretty terrible venues as an amateur and whatnot. And early in my pro career was all pretty good venues. But what's like the worst venue, worst warm up room you've ever fought in?
I've had quite a few bad ones, but I remember as an amateur once, pretty much every amateur fights in like a nightclub or something. I think this one was in like a strip club, and they had us in to warm up in the kitchen in the back, and they had 2 little like puzzle mats that were duct taped together, and the floor was wet, so the puzzle mats were even sliding all over the place, so it was useless. And they had the garage door open in the back, and all the workers were smoking cigarettes out back.
Oh. And on the floor, that wasn't dish soap. Okay, let's just say that.
It was. I'm like, but I think amateur shows, I'm like, that's just like typical. For every amateur fight show, that's what you're getting.
Dude, have you ever had to fight outside?
I don't think I've ever had to fight outside. I remember Kayla Rocco fought Piera Rodriguez outside.
Mexico.
I was studying that fight from whenever I fought Piera. It's absolutely terrible how much, like, they literally can't stand. They're just slipping all over the place.
That happened to me once too. I fought outside in August in Missouri. It was terrible. It was like, and it was the last fight too. So we were just sliding. It was like a slip and slide. It's the worst. I will never fight outside again.
I remember you fought at the OLE once. Do you remember how horrible that venue was in Orlando?
I don't remember.
There you go. There's all right. That's how
I've had 30-something fights.
Yeah.
I smoke a lot of weed. I don't remember a lot.
Unbelievable. There you go, guys. The one and only Gillian the Savage Robertson. Hey, she's got Tatiana Suarez and Dricus du Plessis Saturday. G, you're the absolute best. That's great fight news. Marina Rodriguez, May 3rd in Iowa. We wish nothing but the best. We'll talk to you real soon, friend.
I'll see you guys.
There you go. Gillian the Savage Robertson. One Savage leaves the show, another will enter. To me, one of the best